I'm so glad you guys are here. It's time for my favorite show, Policy Bowl.
Of course that's your favorite show. You're a school attorney and you're a top policy maker.
Yes, I am. You're right.
I thought you invited us here to watch The Bachelor.
No, this is way better than The Bachelor.
You need to be watching this. Didn't you just get a job with the Winston Forsyth Schools?
Looking at the new bus driver.
Congratulations. That is very
Thank you.
exciting.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
awesome.
You're definitely going to want to watch Policy Bowl then. It is full of great tips and rules for you as an employee.
All right, shh, let's start.
Welcome to the Policy Bowl. This episode is brought to you by the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School System. I'm your host, Dion Jenkins, and I know you are sure to have fun with this game today. We have two absolutely fabulous contestants. And so without further ado, let's meet our contestants. So contestant number one is Justin Laws. Hello, Justin. Nice to meet you. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Ms. Jenkins. It's a pleasure.
And contestant number two is Amy Rich. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Ms. Jenkins. Happy to be here today.
I hope you all are so excited for this game. I know that I am. So, let's jump right into this game. The object of the game is Name That Policy. Justin, you won the coin toss backstage, so you get to choose the first category.
Let's start off at employee conduct for 100, please.
Okay. This policy prohibits the use of profanity and other inappropriate language, as well as disorderly or threatening conduct in the presence of or directed at students and other staff members.
Hey, I know this one. This is our civility policy.
Yes, good job, Haman.
Thank you.
Are you kidding me? We have a civility policy? Like I have to be nice to people?
Yeah, and people have to be nice to you. That's kind of how it works.
What people?
You know, like students, parents, other employees. I mean, they can yell at you or cuss at you. If they do, they can get in trouble.
So, like, what if I need the kids on my bus to sit down? Can I be like, yo, butts in seats, shut up?
No, definitely not appropriate.
Yeah, I think that's against the rules. I'm sure there's a more civil way you can make your point.
So, in what kind of way do people have to be civil? I mean, how does this policy really work?
You know, I remember one time I was working in the front office of a school, and this parent called and was yelling and cussing, wanted to speak to the principal, but the principal wasn't there. I told the parent that both administrators were out at a training, but I guess they thought I was lying, so I kept on yelling and screaming, and I told him, I said, that if he kept on, I would have to hang up the phone.
Wow.
That sounds intense.
Did you hang up?
Yeah, I hung up, but I guess that made him more mad because he ended up showing up at the school.
Whoa.
Wanted to talk to the principal, and he was cussing and yelling. There were some kids in the office. We got rid of the kids as soon as possible, and I told him if he kept on yelling that I would have to call the police.
So, did he listen to you?
Well, I guess he left, but he went and sat in the car in the parking lot. So I had to call the cops, and they made sure he left campus.
Did you get in any trouble for doing all of that?
Well, it was kind of scary, but when my principal came back, she told me backed me up and said I did the right thing, and ended up sending the parent a civility letter telling him that they wouldn't be able to come on campus without permission.
Wow.
That is good to know.
See, Sam? It's a good thing Haman watched Policy Bowl, or he might not have known he could do all of that stuff.
All right, I'll watch.
Thank you.
Yes, Justin.
I believe that is policy 1170, the civility policy.
And you'd be absolutely right. All right, well, since you got that right, you get to choose the next category.
Let's just keep it rolling with employee conduct 200, please.
This policy requires teachers and all other employees to account for all funds collected from students, colleagues, and parents, and prohibits the misuse of school funds or property. Yes, Amy.
I'm pretty sure that's policy 4116.10, the standards of professional conduct.
Let's take a look and see. And you'd be absolutely correct. So now that you've got that right, you choose the next category.
I'll go ahead and take employee conduct 300, please.
This policy prohibits employees from consuming, possessing, distributing, or being under the influence of drugs or alcohol while on duty.
Sam. Sam. Sam, wake up. You need to see this one.
You're kidding me, right?
No, I'm serious. It's the drugs and alcohol policy.
I passed my test.
I'm not saying you didn't. I'm just saying this is a really important policy for people who are going to drive school vehicles, and you're going to be driving a bus.
Wait a
Every
minute.
point.
Wait a minute. I drive some of our fleet vehicles once in a while. What do you mean it's really strict?
I mean, they're really, really strict because you can get in trouble when you're driving a school vehicle for having drugs and alcohol in your system, even if you didn't do any drugs or alcohol that day.
Hold on a second. I can hold my liquor. How are they even going to be able to tell if I'm drunk unless I'm stumbling around the bus or something?
They can randomly test people who drive vehicles to find out if they have drugs or alcohol in their system. So once I heard about this person who drove a bus, who came to work and got a random drug test, an alcohol test, and they showed up with alcohol in their system, even though they hadn't had anything to drink that night. They just had something to drink the night before, and they didn't know it would still register on a breathalyzer test.
So I guess we need to be really careful on work nights that we don't overindulge.
Good to know.
Yep.
Yes. I'm pretty sure that's policy 4116.13, or excuse me, .3, the staff rights and responsibilities, the drug-free workplace.
You'd be absolutely correct. Good job. What's your next choice?
I'll move on to employee conduct for 400, please.
This policy prohibits the use of any tobacco products at any time on school property, including vape or e-cigarette products.
Pause!
What?
Tobacco-free schools?
Yes, tobacco-free schools.
Yeah, no tobacco products anywhere on any
North Carolina school property,
North Carolina school property.
You're kidding me.
or during class activities.
So no cigarettes,
No cigarettes.
no chewing tobacco,
No chewing tobacco.
dip,
No
No
dip.
dip.
chaw.
No jaw.
But you gotta let me e-cig.
No
No
e-cigs.
All right. Can I vape?
No vape.
You've got to be kidding me. Can I use a nicotine patch?
Well, it sounds like you need some.
I believe that's policy 1331, and that would be the tobacco-free schools.
You are absolutely correct about that. Good job. Where would you like to go from here?
Let's make it a little more exciting and go with employee conduct 800, please.
Ooh, looks like you're trying to jump to an early lead, Justin. This policy allows the use of reasonable physical force or restraint against a student only when necessary to protect the safety of yourself or other students and limited to stopping or preventing misconduct.
Why'd you pause the show, Sam?
I'm not sure.
What do you mean you're not sure?
I mean, I'm not sure what this policy even means. Who can even determine what reasonable is or what reasonable force is?
Okay, you're right. That's a little bit tricky.
Yeah, and I've been kind of wondering that myself.
So this is the way I kind of think about it. If you have to use some sort of force on a student because they're about to hurt themselves or hurt somebody else, just use the amount of force you need to stop the conduct, and that'll be reasonable.
So, like body checking a 6-year-old into a seat?
Oh, that's too much force.
Definitely not reasonable.
Well, what if 2 kids are in a fight on my bus? Can I break them up?
Yes, you can break them up. But if you decide not to break them up, you have to either call for help or do something to try to get the kids to stop fighting.
But what if I want to break it up?
Yeah, I mean, I've broken up a lot of fights between kids. You just got to be careful because sometimes they forget and they think you're the other kid and they might hit you.
So now that we're talking about this, there's a question I have been wondering about.
What's that?
Well, clearly I'm a man.
Right.
And, what if it's 2 girls that are fighting?
What if it is?
I mean, I could be trying to break it up and, accidentally...
Yeah, I know what you mean. You mean like maybe accidentally touch a breast?
Right. Can I get in trouble for that?
No. No. I mean, if you're breaking up a fight, and you're using a reasonable amount of force, and you think you're doing what you need to do to pull the students apart, just because they're girls and you happen to touch a breast does not mean that you're going to get in any trouble for that.
It's good to know.
Very good to know.
Okay, are there any more questions, or can we get back to the show?
Are there any trainings or anything like that so I could really learn how to break up a
That's a
fight?
good question. It's called Nonviolent Crisis Intervention, and it's offered by the Exceptional Children's Department.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on, how would I even sign up for something like
Well,
that?
you ask your supervisor, because our Exceptional Children's Division offers free training several times a year.
Excellent.
Now, can we get back to the show?
Now we can get back to the
Thank
show.
you.
Yes, Justin.
Policy 4116, and I believe it's a little mouthful, but I believe staff rights and responsibilities regarding student conduct.
Let's take a look and see. And you're right. Wow, you're jumping off to an early lead here. What's your next choice?
Let's bring it back down to employee conduct 500, please.
Okay. This policy requires all employees to be screened and approved annually as an employee driver prior to transporting a student in their personal vehicle.
Okay, so I do have one more question.
How could you possibly have a question about this one? It's about employee drivers, and you are an employee driver. You were hired as a bus driver, Sam.
So, I mean, what if I want to drive Taco?
Who's Taco?
Well, Taco, my son. He's
Oh,
in elementary
of course.
school. He's a
Right.
student. I'm an employee.
Yeah.
Can I drive Taco in my vehicle?
Well, I mean, of course you can. That's your son.
Right. That's not really what this policy is about.
Yeah, it's more about if you wanted to drive, let's say, on a field trip, Taco and his friends, you just have to follow policy and ask for permission.
Right. Okay. So for example, let's say that I was a coach of like a track team, and some of the kids needed a ride home after practice. I wouldn't be able to just take them home whenever I wanted. First, I have to be approved as a volunteer driver. So I would go to the Human Resources Department, get the paperwork filled out to be a volunteer driver, and then I would have to go to all the kids' parents and get permission for them to ride in my personal vehicle so I could take them home. And if I did all that, it would be fine to take them home after practice. But I will tell you this, I would never have less than 2 kids in my car with me at a time, and if I only had to have 1 kid, I'd make sure they sat in the back seat.
Really?
Really, that is even in the policy.
Yes, Amy.
I'm pretty sure that's an administrative regulation. I think it's specifically 4114.4, the employee and volunteer drivers regulation.
Let's take a look and see. Yep, you are absolutely on the mark. Okay, now, Amy, you have a chance to steal the lead here again. What's your next choice?
I'm going to play it safe with employee conduct 600, please.
This policy requires employees to maintain the confidentiality of all student education records as required by the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, also known as FERPA. Yes, Amy.
I know this one. It's important. It's the privacy of student records, policy 5125.
Absolutely right, and definitely a very important policy. What's your next choice?
How about employee conduct for 700, please?
This policy requires all employees to promptly notify their supervisor of the reasons for all absences and to provide supporting documentation upon request.
That is entirely too personal. I mean, if I'm sick, I'm supposed to let my boss know why I'm out of work? I don't want people all up in my business like that.
Yeah, I think you can just tell him you're sick.
Yeah, Haman's right. You can just tell your boss you're sick.
So, if I'm out for a day sick, do I need to pay a $40 copay to get a doctor's note to bring into my boss just because I had a little cold?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if you have a cold, you can just tell your boss you had a cold. But if you miss a lot of days of work, then your boss is probably going to ask you to have some sort of FMLA documentation filled out and probably provide some doctor's notes for your absences.
You know, I used to work with this person that said they were sick a couple of days after they were married, and come to find out they posted pictures on Facebook
No way.
of her and her new husband on their honeymoon.
Oh, snap.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Well, like I said, I used to work with her. I think she got fired for lying, but I'm pretty sure she was in other type of trouble.
Yikes.
I think you'll be okay, Sam, if you just tell the truth. Only take sick days when you're actually sick, and if you miss a lot of days, you're probably going to have to go to the doctor to get a note.
I can tell the truth.
Good.
How about 4116.11, employee conduct, suspension, demotion, and dismissal?
Let's take a look and see. And you are absolutely correct. Wow, this is such a close game. Well, we've come down to our final category. Whoever gets this question right could be the winner of the Policy Bowl, Employee Conduct for 900. This policy requires all employees to report any arrest, charge, conviction, guilty plea, plea of no contest, prayer for judgment continued, or deferred prosecution received while employed
Come
to their
on!
supervisor within 5 days.
Does this mean we have to report speeding tickets?
Well, you do, we don't.
That's not right.
Well, so
Well,
that works.
I mean, anybody that drives a school vehicle has to report any kind of infraction, even minor traffic infractions.
Yeah, Haman's right. Everybody else gets to just report whatever criminal charges there are, except minor traffic infractions. But if you drive a school vehicle, you have to report everything.
You know, I've been wondering, is a DUI a minor traffic infraction?
No, Haman, a DUI is definitely not a minor traffic infraction.
Okay, good to
Everybody
know.
has to report those.
All right, good to know.
Maybe we should just move along.
I mean, I'm just asking a question.
Okay.
Yes, Justin.
That one's easy. That is the Standards of Professional Conduct. That's Policy 4116.10.
Wow, you seem very confident of this. Let's see if you're right. And you are right. Good job, Justin. Well, I tell you, this is going to be a very close game. Let's take a moment to see who our winner is. Okay, I have calculated the scores here. This is a really close game, but our winner of the Policy Bowl and our new Policy Bowl champion is contestant number 2, Amy Rich.
Congratulations, Amy. Great game.
Is it over?
So much. And thank you
that's
to
it.
our studio audience
Oh, man.
today.
I did not think Amy had a dinner to pull out the victory.
No, she really held on. You're right, it was close. Isn't this a great show?
Well, I'm hooked.
Yeah. There'll be another episode next week, don't worry.
Well, I've got to say, this has really been helpful for me. What can I do to learn more about the policies and being a good employee in our district?
I'm so proud of you that you want to know.
No, I'm serious. I mean, it's
Really?
really important that I learn more about our policies so I can keep this job.
Well, you know, just stick with us, kid. You'll be all right.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Hi, my name is Dion Jenkins. I'm a staff attorney with the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School System. Obviously, the game show you were just watching is not real. It was meant to be a fun, entertaining way to introduce you to some of the key district policies that pertain to employee conduct. But please do not think that just because they were presented to you in a game show format that the district takes these policies any less seriously, because it does not. At the end of your orientation and prior to starting your position, you'll be asked to sign an acknowledgement that you understand these key district policies. So I would just like to take a few moments to talk to you about some other policies that are very important and cover some very serious issues. The Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools takes very seriously any allegations of inappropriate conduct or communication between students and staff. There are very limited reasons for employees to text individual students on their personal cell phones and/or to communicate with students via social networking sites. Policy 4116.10 strongly encourages employees not to communicate with students via text message or to friend students on social media networking sites. Any communication between students and employees should be appropriate in nature and comport with district policies on proper communication between students and employees. In addition, Administrative Regulation 4116.5 prohibits all employees from dating, courting, soliciting, or engaging in a romantic, sexual, or inappropriate relationship with any student who is enrolled within the district, regardless of age. Employees who violate this policy will be subject to discipline up to and including dismissal from employment. Any employee who has reason to believe that another employee is engaging in an inappropriate relationship with their student must report it to their supervisor, an administrator, human resources, or the school attorney's office. An employee who fails to do so may be subject to discipline up to and including dismissal from employment. In addition to reporting inappropriate relationships with students, Board Policy 5131.7 requires employees to report all instances of serious criminal misconduct occurring on school property. For example, serious assault, possession of a weapon, or sexual offense, to the school principal, their supervisor, human resources, or the school attorney's office as soon as possible. All employees are expected to behave in a civil and respectful manner. The Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools expressly prohibits unlawful discrimination, harassment, and bullying. Board Policy 5131.1 provides that any employee who engages in unlawful discrimination, harassment, or bullying will be subject to discipline up to and including dismissal from employment. Employees are also required to report all actual or suspected violations of this policy. If you have any questions about our school board policies, please feel free to contact the school attorney's office. The number is listed on your screen.